It's another beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Rubbin Minds. Welcome. My name is Ebuka Obiochandu. We'll continue our countdown to the start of campaign season. It's a few days away. September 28th is the D-Day when everyone will be let out to tell Nigerians exactly why they should be the chosen candidates, regardless of the office that they are vying for. But as we continue to count down to politics, we also want to be sure that Nigerians are getting the message, and I think that's most important. We will hear politicians tell us a lot of things, make a lot of promises, but most importantly, we as Nigerians need to be sure that we are listening to the right things and making the right choices. And then, of course, when February comes around, we are voting based on what we've heard and who we believe is the right man for the job. We have a very interesting show for you on Rubbin Minds today, but before that, please watch this.
Get with you. Don't just stand there teasing me. Now it's time to show and prove.
For tertiary education, right, funding even at the federal level for all of these schools is a problem. A lot of people complain. I think there was a time a school in Osun State or Ogun State, they had a protest of an increase of fees. And even at this level, when you look at it, the fees that are being paid at the international level in comparison to our universities here, let's be honest, it's not enough to run a standard tertiary education. It is not enough. So at the end of the day, we're cutting, or should I say, robbing Peter to pay Paul in order to be able to get a certain level of. So I think what happens is, for those who are interested in tertiary education, if you have, the problem is that the Nigerian context in itself gives too much advantage to that university degree. You find that, and I do not like the comparison of Nigeria and the Western world. I really don't like that comparison, but I can put it into context in this certain situation where places in America and the UK where you graduate from high school, and it's such a big deal because graduating from high school actually gives you a certain opportunity, right? When you now graduate from university, you're more in a structured environment. It's more of a professional, so I believe that we have to find a way that we can do that for ourselves as well. Let's even ask the question, Ibuka. We've been saying 10 point something million for the past 10 years. Do we even have the accurate data is the question. And the data now is, UBEC has its own data, World Bank will give you a separate data, UNICEF will give you a separate data, Federal Ministry of Education would give you a separate data. I don't believe there is any concrete, in as much as a lot is being done. A lot is being done. But at the same time, it's almost like a drop in the ocean. Yeah. There needs to be a reorientation of mindset when it comes to education, right? Until we get that reorientation of mindset, we're 161 out of 159, 189, sorry, 161 Nigeria. Below Ethiopia, below Sudan, below Congo. As a nation, we're such a blessed nation, and then you ask yourself, what is going on? Why are we where we are? Why are so many children being neglected? We currently are doing a literacy program in Abuja, and for those of you who know Abuja, there's a certain community next to Maitama called Katampe, and we wanted to start a literacy program for a Fulani community. This Fulani community has lived there for over 80 years. They've been in the FCT for over 80 years. And when we entered that community, 95% of them have never been to school. Of the 15% that have been to school, 18% cannot identify their alphabet or their numbers. So you ask yourself, where are we going? This is within the FCT. Then what happens when you go to the core northern side? What happens? Yeah, literacy level and education level in the south is a bit higher than the north, but there's still some areas that lack, even within Lagos State itself. Yes, it's a money issue, and second is the thought process behind it. Now, I'll give you an example. I have a daughter who's a hawker, right? She goes out, she hawks every day. She makes 5,000, 10,000, or even 2,000 a day, which is more than enough for them to feed their families in a day. And you're telling me that same daughter should go to school and sit through the day and not make a dime for me, when that is how I survive, right? Now, what is the benefit of that education when she's done? When you're looking at graduates telling you, I don't have employment. You're looking at most of these people that have graduated either becoming drug addicts or becoming a nuisance to the society. When you look at all of the insecurity that we're faced with today, it's a complete neglect, whether we want to face that reality or not. It's a complete neglect of the system and a complete neglect of the educational system as well. Now, these millions of children that are out of school, we do not know what will become of them in 20, 30 years. Now, let's imagine that UNICEF and Kano State did a recent report. And in that report, they have over 2.4 million Almajiri children in non-integrated. There's the difference. You have the integrated and you have the non-integrated. The integrated being that they have a certain level of literacy within the Almajiri system. And the non-integrated don't have at all. 2.4 million of them, non-integrated. What is going to be of those 2.4 million children in 10 years, in 20 years, in 30 years? So what is happening, it's now become a generational, almost like a generational curse. I don't have it. I don't see the benefit of it. Why should my child have it? So my child ends up not having it. That child probably will end up having another child that does not have it. The only difference would be you would have those children that have that tenacity, that will to say, I want to be different. But you see, those are the outliers. And they're probably 1 in 10 or 1 in 20. So there has to be a complete change of reorientation towards what education is, the benefit of education, and then the funding part as well. But I don't think the funding is as important as the mentality behind education. We started the Walk in Their Shoes campaign, and what we're trying to do with the Walk in Shoes campaign is, I didn't mention earlier, we have a digital platform. So what we did with ILMI Children's Fund was to create a digital platform. We're currently working with 14 states and 28 local governments. So you can click onto our website, you'd be able to select a child, select the school that the child is going to. You have the option of actually selecting a public school or a private school. You can choose by age, you can choose by gender, you can choose by state, you can even choose by local government depending on what you want. There's a reporting system where once you go into, you open up an account. Once you open up your account, you're able to get your reports directly to your email as to how the child is doing. And if you want a personal touch and personal conversations with the children as well, you can actually go. So we started the Walk in Their Shoes campaign. The Walk in Their Shoes campaign, we're trying to see how we can fund 1,000 children across Nigeria. The campaign started in August, and we're trying to see how, like I said, we're working with 14 state and 28 local governments, and what we hope to do with this is actually expand throughout the nation at www.ilmichildrensfund.org, and you can also find us on Instagram at ILMI Children's Fund. You can adopt a child, and you have all the details of the child in there. Wherever you can choose the state, choose wherever you want.
Okay, we'll take a quick break now and come back and continue with the conversation. Please don't go away.
Get with you. Don't just stand there teasing me. Now it's time to show and prove.
Joseph Benjamin is a Nigerian actor, model, singer, voiceover artist, and television presenter. He co-hosted Project Fame for years, a talent reality show loved by millions of Nigerians, and starred in the movies Tangle with Me, Mr. and Mrs., and Murder, Are Prime Suits. He won the African Actor of the Year award at the 2012 African Film Awards for his role in Married But Living Single. He won the Best Lead Actor at the 2012 Best of Nollywood Awards. Joseph Benjamin is that actor and host that got people talking with his rich, velvety voice that could fill up the room or excite people with a song when he decides to sing. On Rubbin Minds, we speak with actor and media personality Joseph Benjamin on his journey through film and media and his move out of Nigeria.
Get with you. Don't just stand there teasing me. Now it's time to show and prove.
Welcome back to the show. I have a special guest here who, I'm not going to yab him yet, but it's good to see him after such a long time. He's one of those people who, interestingly, is still sort of killing it in the industry, but you almost want to call it legend because of how much he's done. Joseph Benjamin is here. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, man.
I don't know if what I said makes sense because
Yes.
you've done quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but you're also still quite young in the industry. How were you able to achieve that? Where, you know, when the Nollywood story is told, you're definitely a part of it, and still have a lot to do. Did you start so early?
Yes, I did. Thankfully, I started early, as far back as '95. You know, days of Tales by Moonlight. You know, those were my early days, and from then, of course, I started building the career and moved into doing television series and all. And someone I give a lot of credit to, God bless his soul, he's no longer here, died last year, Lloyd Weaver. He used to own a studio back in the day in Ikeja on Obakran called Swift Studios. That's where I got my early exposures. And of course, from there, met with a lot of veterans who are no longer here, like the likes of Paul Emema, who produced Behind the Clouds from back in the day. So there was a series, a pilot he did. Julius Yagu was my brother at the time. So like, you know, so the journey had started from there and, you know, started moving forward, of course. And not until the likes of Tinsel and Project Fame did I start getting that recognition, and people started noticing me and wondering, where did he just pop out from?
Yeah.
You know, but we've been there grinding for a while, of course. And then, you know, every other thing. Yes.
How did you get on Tales by Moonlight? I feel like it was all our dream.
Right.
How did you do it?
Oh my goodness. How did I think it was a thing of desire. So, of course, growing up watching Tales by Moonlight from back in the day then, and then you say, wait, I think I would love to be a part of this. Where do they do it, you know? And then for some reason, I remember then I said, okay, then I realized it was at NTA. And closing credits, which is always good to watch those closing credits. I saw one of the producers' name, Marcelina Ihenacho. I'm like, okay. So thankfully, this fateful day I went to NTA.
On your own?
On my own.
Really?
And said I was looking for Marcelina Ihenacho. She's a producer on Tales by Moonlight. They're like, what do you want? Why do you want to see her? I said, I would like to be on the show. And she was like, okay. She loved my boldness. And from there, she said, okay, come and audition for this. And I auditioned, and next
You hadn't
day...
done any acting before that?
Nope. Because I think it was after Tales by Moonlight I then got my first movie role in '95. You understand? She said, come, and I featured in 2 episodes on Tales by Moonlight. I acted out the stories. I never wore those costumes. Those things were hot.
What did your parents have to say?
Oh my
Family.
goodness! But I was a local champion when that thing aired.
Yeah.
They were very proud of me, you know, and it's something that, of course, everyone around me have always known that I've had a passion for this.
Yeah.
So those were the building blocks for what we have today.
Yeah. So you always knew you were going to be an actor.
I always knew I was going to follow this path.
Is there a family history with it, or it just so happened?
There is none, but I would say my mom, who at the time was an eclectic collective music, kind of like opened me to the entertainment industry. And of course, those days when television was still television, we used to enjoy watching a lot of these foreign content and all. And from that point, I started developing,
Soaking it.
you know, soaking it in. I used to stand in front of the mirror and, you know, talk to the mirror and assume that was an audience and all of that. And yes, you know how these things they say, like, you know, your mind first goes to a place where you've desired, because you can't effectively position yourself in a place where your mind has not first gone to.
Yeah.
So my mind had done the journey before
Yeah.
this.
You even got
Yes.
that, yeah. So you also became sort of the typecast romantic guy for a while. Whether it was TV, whether it was movies, you know, the fine boy who falls in love or gets heartbroken or breaks a heart or whatever it is. But all of those love stories, you know, happen quite a bit as well. Was that a problem for you? Seeing how the industry at the time, of course, was not as big as it is now, where there's a lot more diversity and people are exploring more stories. But I mean, it was what you got at the time, or was it something you enjoyed?
To be honest, like you said, it was what was available at the time. And were you true to form? Yes, I was true to form. So it made it even more difficult to run away from typecasting because you're giving that material and you deliver, okay? You're a perfect expression of what is required. So, and of course at the time, we're still, what we were, the genre that we were very strong with exploring was love stories.
Yeah.
You understand? So there was no going away from that. It was either the love stories or something that had to do with, I don't know, had something that had to do with glamour and all of that. So those were the options that were available at the time. And of course, everyone wanted to be the fine boy there, the correct guy.
I was going to say, because it's also a very tough place to be. And I say this as weird and as cheesy as it might sound, but there's always this talk of who's going to be the next lover boy, or who's the next Ramsey Noah, who's the next RMD. It's almost like there's a train of that, and being able to be in that circle is quite hard I want to believe sometimes for people like you. But I want to take it away from that now, because you are what I might call it a triple threat, and TV presenting sort of showed up. For us at least, we're like, oh, okay. And then you held it down on some of the biggest stages. How did TV presenting come into the mix for you?
Something I always wanted to explore, and thankfully I'd been doing a lot of voiceovers for TV commercials and radio commercials, and of course, sort of like honing the skills there, and then I heard that Project Fame was coming to Nigeria. At the time, I was still on Tinsel. And so I said, okay, why not give it a shot? So I went, auditioned, I think at the time, or no, I had not auditioned for it at the time. I heard he had come, and then I was asking who was going to be the host. I was asking some of my contacts in there, and they said it was going to be Dari and Funlala. I said, okay, makes sense. Dari is a product of Project Fame, South Africa. Bringing it here makes perfect sense to just, and I'm like, yes. And then the next season, somehow, I just randomly, when you talk about perfect timing, I'm being led. I just randomly called the producer at the time. I said, oh, sir, I don't know, I was just calling to say hi and check up on you. Like, he said, Joseph, perfect timing. Guess what? We're actually shopping for a new host for Project Fame. I'm like, wow, really? Say, do you want to come in and audition for it? I said, of course I will. And I went in, auditioned, and the first female co-host I auditioned with was Adora at the time. And of course, eventually we became the hosts for the show. And that's how I entered Project Fame.
Yeah.
That's how the journey into Project Fame happened.
So did you enjoy TV presenting, or did you just do it because of the kind of show it was?
Ebuka, I enjoyed it. I love it because, of course, I MC events, and people ask me this sometimes, that what is the difference between you MCing an event, hosting a show, or acting? I said, when I'm MCing or hosting a show, I'm true to form. I'm Joseph Benjamin. You're referring to me as me. But acting, I'm taking on
element.
You understand me, my element. But acting, I'm taking on a different character, interpreting this in someone else's name and all of that stuff. So I enjoyed every bit of it.
Yeah.
Do I miss it? Yes, I do.
I was going to ask. Then there's music.
Yes, yes.
Has that always been there?
It has always been there, Ebuka. From church, singing at church, always been in the choir, I'm in the choir. And music has always been a part of me, and I remember being part of a commercial band back in the day then. The band was owned by late Jaya Boderi's older brother, because Jaya, of course, at the time had his own band. So we had that commercial band that I was a part of, which of course exposed me to the music industry a lot more beyond church. So I actually had a broader view of music and all. And going into the studio to record my songs, I felt it was time for me to start giving expression to that side of me. So music has always been there, and it's a big part of me.
Okay, we'll take a quick break now and come back and continue with the conversation. Please don't go away.
Get with you. Don't just stand there teasing me. Now it's time to show and prove.
So how do you rank the three now in your life?
To be honest, it's hard to say. But I would say, honestly, for me, I think I would say music is first. Music is first because music is an outward expression of what goes on the inside of you, okay? And for me, music is therapeutic. You know, people should listen to your music, and there should be something that they connect with. They should be able to hear. They should be able to. You should be able to sensitize, help people teach, and all of these elements. You know, so for me, music is deeper than just getting into the studio and recording. There's a message. It's a movement. It's something that is deeper than just singing.
Yeah.
So music, for me, I would say it's first, and because this is not fair.
I was going to say, your actor friends are like, whoa, really?
No, because I'll say music and the acting are on the same level. I would say that because they both coexist. You know, yes. So
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Fair
yes. Please.
It's not me.
I don't know.
But then, so it looks like, I mean, Joseph Benjamin was everywhere, movies, TV. And then for a lot of people, it looks like he just sort of dropped off the face of entertainment here. I mean, we started seeing you appear in things internationally. But for a while, it seemed like you just went off the radar. Was that family related? Was it a personal decision? Or did work stop coming? What happened?
Work was going real fine. It was a personal decision. And at the time, I know a lot of people thought I had lost it. They were confused, trying to connect why I would make such a move. Like, you have an amazing career going for you here. Why would you just up and leave and go to an industry where you literally would have to start afresh? Like, what informed that decision?
What informed that decision?
Exactly. I said, I'd gotten to a point, Ebuka, where I wanted more, you know, and the industry at the time then was going through, I would say, a remodeling, you know, trying to redefine itself. Yeah. And for me, I felt like I had gotten to that point where there was not any more growth for me, because you are the only one who would obviously know how far you're going. And so I wanted to explore, and I'd always wanted to explore the industry out there, knowing that it would be a huge task. I'm like, okay, let me go on. People say, you have a career here. I said, look, that's the thing. I'm the career. Wherever I go, the career goes with me. It's not tied to a specific geographical location, okay? And that's how I moved, and for like 6 years.
Yes.
Yes, you know, and I literally had to start from the beginning, Ebuka, but it was good. Good in the sense that it took me away from all I had known, to make me understand that there were other dimensions to this thing that you thought you've acquired, so that you can grow. Because if you hold on to the old, there's no way you'll be able to see that there's room for improvement to become better. So that exit, kind of like that break, helped me grow.
So what was that experience? I mean, because obviously you wanted to go there and, you know, hopefully become this Hollywood star. You featured, like I said, in a few series and all of that. Was that a good enough experience for the amount of time you went, for the timing of when you left? Do you look back and be like, yeah, I think that was great?
Yes, because I do not regret it. It was a good enough experience because it has opened my mind to so much more. And it helped me also break away from that mentality of being entitled, because it's something that can kill you as a creative. If you don't see that there is room for you to grow, if you feel like something is owed you. No, rather, you owe the system because you are supposed to give of who you are, okay? It's an exchange. So for me, it was a good break. It helped me see better, Ebuka. And coming back here now, of course, and the timing was very great. You know, I left at a time when the industry was going through some sort of a reshaping, and came back at a time when the industry has experienced a boom. Because all of these OTTs are here, this over-the-top platforms. So there's a lot going on in the industry now. So it's a great time to be here. I enjoyed the break.
I'm talking about the experience there, because, you know, we hear from a lot of actors there, even black American actors complain about the fact of, you know, there's never any roles for them. Yours is even layered with the fact that you are international, probably with an accent that they're trying to say, okay, does it fit into our, you know, what was the experience with trying to get work in that place? Because I ask this because I still hear a lot of creatives here who keep saying, I need to go, I need to make the next jump. You know, what did you experience that they should understand and keep in mind?
A lot of people have been asking me this question, and I say to them, be prepared to put your all in, and you will face some opposition in a sense, just by virtue of who you are, what you represent, your ethnicity, okay? And there's an ideology already that you are disadvantaged, coming from where you're coming from, because the African Americans who are over there are already looking for these roles that you're coming to try to displace them off, So, and someone said something to me when I was leaving here. He said, Joseph, there are 1,001 African Americans who are casting for maybe that specific role that you're casting for as an African American. The truth is, casting would rather go for that one that is authentically and organically an African American over you, unless there's something you bring to the table that they'll say, okay, let's work with. We've seen that with a lot of our African brothers there of British, a British connection, who of course played at some African American roles. And he said, Joseph, what I want you to do is be authentic to you, be original. Don't lose that. That is what makes you different. When they hear you, they like it. And you know what, thankfully, quite a lot of casting directors kept saying that to me. I had to start taking dialect coaching and accent skill workshop and all of that to try to integrate myself into all of that. Of course, it's required. Those are skills you should. But they said, remain authentic to you, because you will lose essence from what you're trying to interpret when your mind is so focused on sounding a certain way. Unless it is absolutely required, give us what you can or what you see. And then if we're required to be like this, we will give it to you. So it was a bit of a struggle. So I tell those who are looking to jumping and say, oh, let me go. Be prepared to face that.
Yeah.
And also be prepared to go through a sort of restructuring, because the industry there does not know you. Even though, yes, they're beginning to consume our content here and getting familiar with our faces and all, there's already a system that is set in place there. For you to come in, do you understand? You have to go through a certain process to get there. But is it impossible? It's not impossible.
So you're back.
I am back.
So what informed the move back then?
It was, I just believed it was a good time. It was a perfect time. And thankfully, I got pulled in here by Mo Abudu, who I just finished a job with, and Mo has been wanting to get me down here for the longest, but schedule has been a problem. Okay, and so when she came to me with what we just worked on, I said, perfect timing, and also it speaks to an issue that is quite sensitive in our society today, something that is not talked about enough, okay, and which is talking about mental health challenges. I said, look, let us speak about it, because the more we speak about this, the more people get sensitized about this, and the more we can help people break away from that stigma of feeling like, no, I will be labeled a certain way.
Yeah.
So yes, that informed my decision. It was perfect time and the job came through.
When is this project out? Do we know?
I do not know, but of course it's her directorial debut, and she's looking to pursuing festivals. That's the projection. Festivals, and we'll see how that goes. She definitely has all of that. But I definitely will keep you guys informed.
Do you worry that your being away made you lose your spot?
No, Ebuka. A lot of people have been asking me this. And no, because I say to them, I have remained authentic and original and true to who I am. I did not come into the industry to be like somebody. I came in to express who Joseph Benjamin is. So there's something everyone brings to the table. So that which I bring to the table was never taken away from me. I didn't lose my spot. So for me, it helped me grow, to come back, to be better.
What did you notice differently? Yes, we know the streaming platforms are all here now, but what did you notice differently about the industry, if anything, in 6 years? Because it would be a shame if there's no difference.
No.
But what did you notice differently
Stakes
about
are
how
higher.
the industry was?
Stakes are higher. People are a lot more professional. There's a lot more attention to detail and understanding that the consumers, right, are very knowledgeable, and there's a demand for quality content. So it's either you go hard or you go home. So everyone is putting their best foot forward and making sure that, look, I have to, because these consumers, they demand quality, and if I want to make sure that I hold them, then I have to deliver. So I applaud the industry. I'm honestly, I'm so proud to be a part of this industry.
And what it's about to become.
Yes, and what it's about, that is the word, what it's about to become, because there's a shift.
Yeah.
Yes.
On a final note now, I know you have a lot of fans. You were not even in the country, and once in a while I will still see your name on Twitter. Oh, if Joseph Benjamin was, that happens a lot. So now you're back. What should these plethora of your fans be looking forward to in the next couple of months, year?
A renewed,
What are you thinking?
Well, to give them the best of me. I have come redefined, growing, okay, because we never stop growing,
Yeah.
and becoming the best version of myself. So I'm willing to bring back to them that joy that my presence has constantly brought to their homes and connect to them even more personally. Yes.
And it feels like there's a new audience that's about to be won over because, I mean, 6 years, the Gen Zs have arrived.
Yes. Yes. And honestly, let me just say this real quick. Quite a few of them are not very familiar with who Joseph Benjamin is. You know,
my point exactly.
Yes, I've had quite a bit of that in some of the places we've gone to, and of course, those who have been around for a while know me. And then, you know, I've had that look, and Joseph, yeah, I said yes, it's fine, it's okay. I understand there's been a shift.
But that's a new challenge.
Oh, it is. It is. And like I say, Ebuka, I have learned over time not to feel entitled because I feel, oh, Joseph Benjamin, been there for a while. You come back here, you should feel accepted. You should, no. I'm ready to work my way into their hearts.
Yeah.
Not feel like they should just accept me. A lot of them don't know me.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to work my way into their hearts.
Looking forward to that, man, because you are great at what you do. So I know it's about to be exciting times even more.
Thank you.
For you and for the industry.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming back.
Thank you. And it's great to be back here again.
We're glad to have you. We'll take a break now, and we'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Get with you. Don't just stand there teasing me. Now it's time to show and prove.
Welcome back to the show. Now, every Nigerian has something to complain about the economy, regardless of your class. It's a problem that everyone is feeling, and we are going to be trying to get some understanding, especially for salary earners at a time like this where inflation is biting harder than ever. I have you with me, Shola Adeshakin. Thanks for being here today.
I'm glad to be here.
So my first question, of course, is, you know, is the salary ever going to be enough? We've lived through a country where there's the constant need for more money. We know our minimum wage is a pittance by many standards, but inflation has done even worse now. In the last year, the Naira has become almost a mess, but there's been no salary increment anywhere. How are people supposed to cope in a time like this?
All right, so I tell people that expenses are multiple in nature. Now, so if you rely on just one source of income, you're doing yourself a disadvantage. So you pay rent, you pay school fees, you pay for internet, you pay for cable, and all of those things. So one source going into different income expense streams. So I tell people, you do yourself an advantage by getting an additional source of income. Now, it's easier to say because, I mean, you're like, I'm a business owner, I'm an entrepreneur, I've got time on my hands. So salary earners would say, you tell us to do more, how? Now, the first question is, are you satisfied with your current source in meeting your needs? Are your needs well catered for? Do you feel exasperated at the end of the month when you have to pay your bills? So you've got to sort of augment your salary. Use your free time, monetize your hobbies. Now, before now, when we say those things, people will be like, no, it really doesn't matter. But you haven't enjoyed a salary increase. Inflation, Ebuka, they tell us inflation is 19.6. But for example, I bought a pack of pasta last year, 220. This week, I bought it at 450. That's like 100%. I didn't even realize it had gone as high as that. So, to be factual, inflation is not 19%. Yeah. Inflation is like 100%,
especially
100%.
Food inflation.
In some cases. So I'll tell salary earners, you've got to look inward. You've got to see how you can spend your spare time making more money. I mean, these days you hear about many remote things that you can do. This is not the time where you'll say, I don't have time, weekend is for rest. I know you need to rest, but hey, you've got to think about it. And I like to talk about the Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. It's a very good book that everybody should read in a time like this. You earn money as a salary earner, you earn money as a self-employed person. That means you monetize your gift, you monetize your talent, and then you can sort of go into a business, right? Business means you own systems, partnerships, collaborations, and then you can earn money from investments. So being a salary earner would not do because it won't give you control. It won't even give you security. There are so many things, demanding for your money. The system is designed to take from you. Nobody's going to think the way out for you. So you've got to think about it yourself and consider how you can make ends meet.
But then the other argument is, what are these other things that you're talking about? Because as much as I hear you, inflation also means disposable income for a lot of people is even lower.
Right.
In fact, the middle class is almost thinned out on a lot of fronts because nobody has, the cinemas are feeling it.
Right.
You know, the malls are feeling it. And this is what disposable income would do, where people are able to just buy things or enjoy leisure, you know, occasionally. So what am I supposed to do now if I don't even have a customer or customers who are willing to pay anything for these other hobbies or side hustles as much as they would in the past?
So I tell people that money gravitates towards value. Where there's value, there'll be money. So it's not just about what you love to do or what you know how to do. You have to consider what people really want. In a time like this, what are some of the things that people want? People must eat, right? Internet, data, school fees. So you have to look at your talents and your hobbies and sort of, you know, wire them around what people will need. For example, I'm a finance coach. These days, everybody wants to know how to channel their finances better. So low-hanging fruit for me are short courses, right? Worksheets, templates that can help people maximize their resources. Of course, I also cater to high net worth individuals, middle class. You know, you've got to structure your income-making abilities to cut across different, you know, income cadres in the society. So if you know how to cook, how to bake, it might be a good time for you to money. I'll give you an example. There was a time I was consulting for a company, and I will pack my lunch to work every day. So apart from the consulting job, during the day, you know, we'll feel peckish, and we kept complaining, oh, I'm hungry. If I eat my lunch at 11 o'clock, what am I going to eat later in the day? So one day, as I was driving home, I just saw a shop where they were selling pastries. And then I packed and I'm like, tomorrow, I'm going to get some pastries off you and I'm going to resell. Is that fine? Would you give me this? I just wanted to test, you know, if it was doable or not. And the next day, I packed pastries to work, gave it to the office assistant. Within 1 hour, we had sold out. So on my way back home, I'm like, I'm not even reselling. I want to learn how to do it. So jokingly in those days, I would say, I'm not just a chartered accountant. I'm a chartered donut maker, egg roller. And I was making money, very good money. So that's a way of identifying what you can do and what can meet the needs of people
There's
around
always a
you.
vacuum somewhere.
Right, and then you transmute it to cash.
So I hear you there, but there's no denying the fact that there's some people who are just not built for business. Whether you like it or not, people are who they are. There are people who just like to work in a structured environment, get their money, go back home and stay, because they are not just built for buying and selling or hustling or figuring things out. So my question now is, in an economy like this, how do you as a salary earner strictly manage resources still? It was hard enough already to be able to manage your resources. We hear a lot of times, oh, by the second week of the month, people are already trying to ask for an advance for the next month because of how thin the resources are now. So if you are that kind of person who cannot or are not built to be a business or entrepreneur, how do you manage resources in an economy like this?
Right, so to maximize your resources, you're either increasing your income or reducing your expenses. To a large extent, what expenses do you want to reduce?
Yeah.
Your children won't wake up one day and say, no, Daddy, you have been fantastic. We're not going to go hungry in the next 2 days. And their proprietor or their head teacher won't say, oh, 2 of your children have come to this school. This next child, don't pay. And your landlord won't say, you have been a good tenant for 10 years, take 1 year off. So it's hard, or it's harder to reduce expenses. I think it's easier to increase income. But having said that, while you're trying to sort of navigate how to increase your income, how do you manage your resources? Budget, plan, interact with your finances. Ebuka, one thing I've seen is a lot of people shy away from talking or thinking about their resources. Money sort of agitates us. And Francis Bacon says money is an excellent servant, but a bad leader. So you cannot allow your money to lead you. You've got to direct it.
Okay, we'll take a quick break now and come back and continue with the conversation. Please don't go away.
Get with you. Don't just stand there teasing me. Now it's time to show and prove.
So interact with your finances. What does it cost to even maintain my family? That's what you call a budget. What are we going to pay for? So have an idea. If your total expenses for the month is about 200,000 and you're earning 150,000, you already know where the problem is. So you're either also upskilling to make more money, or you are cutting down. But like I said, it's hard to cut down. But work and live within your means. Manage your expenses. Prioritize. You know, there are some things that you don't need to be advised to cut down on. But again, I tell people, you only live once. Right? Everybody takes from you. You've got to take care of yourself. So 50, 30, 20% rule is what I teach. 50% of your income should go into your necessities. I say 30 should go into your savings, 20 into your wants that you would need.
Is it possible to save in this economy?
Ebuka, saving is not, what's the word now? It's not, it's not something.
Circumstance driven.
No, you've got to build the muscles. So I tell people it's not about the amount, but the consistency. If you are waiting till when you have so much, you won't save. So if you're earning 200,000, 10,000, 20,000 per month, just put it aside because rainy days will come. So when you build,
these are the rainy days.
Oh yeah,
for a lot of people.
But then they're still rainy. They're still rainier days, or more rainy days ahead. Winter will come. Yeah, you live in Nigeria, but winter will come. Emergencies will happen. Life happens all the time. Your children won't tell you when they're going to have a fever. Your car won't tell you next week I'm going to break down. You know, so you've got to prepare. And so no matter how hard it is, you've got to factor in savings. It's hard to say, but if you don't do it, you will find yourself borrowing when these things happen. So no matter how small, 10%, just lock it aside, put it somewhere so that when these things happen. But the good thing I have learned in my journey is that when you build that muscles, when you're consistent with putting money aside, it gets easier. More resources flow to you. You know, when it comes to money, we are stewards, we are custodians. You do better, you do well with small, more will come. You do well with it, more will come, more will come. I mean, ask those who have built wealth. It's a journey, it's a marathon, not a sprint. You know, so prioritize your necessities, things that you necessarily need to survive, save, and then take care of yourself. I have a friend every month, once she earns her salary, she goes to a restaurant. And she will eat. And she would say, you know what, spirit, soul, and body, we have done it again. Oh, this month, oh, well done. Next month, let's do it again. Because you've got to take care of yourself. If not, the government wants to take, friends wants to take, service provider will take from you. And at the end of the day, you are 50, you're 60, and you just wonder what you're doing with your money. So again, yeah, the economy is hard, but make it work for yourself. Because there are things outside of your control more than the things within your control.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you can tell that in every economy, good or bad, there's certain industries that would always still sort of thrive. Now, tech seems to be that place where, you know, people are, regardless, you're working from home even, you're not even dealing with traffic and all of that, and you're still making a good living. What sort of advice do you want to give people with, like, sort of acquiring skills? If it's sort of switch industries or align industries, like you said, you could have a job but still have another job online or working from home or have three even. What sort of things should people be thinking about, especially at a time like this where, you know, like you said, multiple income streams are important?
So a few years ago,
sectors.
I realized I had about 10 sources of income. I'm a chartered accountant, I'm a chartered confectioner. Oh, you know, I don't do that again, but fine. I build websites, right? I do graphics, I have an online course. You know, you just have to think of how to just diversify your income. So talking about skills, we're driven by, you know, a skill, how do I put it now? The world is driven by what you know, what you can do. If you want to make more money, it's a function of what you can do in addition to what you do. What are you bringing to the table? So I tell people upskill. On your current role, upskill. If it's not working, diversify, pivot, right? As a chartered accountant, I can do websites. I can make money from it. You are able, we all know there's so many things that you do. That's you diversifying. Another way is to collaborate. For example, I'm a chartered accountant, but personal finance is what I love to do. But, you know, 20 years of chartered accountant experience, I pay a lot of subscriptions to maintain my chartered accountancy across different continents. Yeah. I don't do accounting as well, but I have a company with a friend who loves to do accounting. So I bring in the jobs, I tell people about what we do. She executes, we have a small team. End of the month, we share profits. She takes higher, I take something. So that is business. So that's collaboration. So what can you do? You have access, somebody has time. How do you work together? So business is not necessarily having a brick and mortar structure. It's a coalition of systems, you know, of skills, of resources, other people's money, other people's time, other people's resources. So I'll advise people upskill, right? And the world has become a smaller global community. Sure. I'm here in Lagos. Sometimes I facilitate for people in the UK, in Canada, and I get money in their currency. You know, so look for things that you can do. Keep improving on knowledge, right? Yeah. You can achieve the same results at the same knowledge level.
I completely agree, because I think I always talk about this, where I read an article, I think 3-4 years ago, that said 2/3 of the jobs that would exist for our children don't exist today. Right. That's to show that so many more vistas are going to be opening. On a final note now, I mean, I always hear the saying that comfort is not a very good teacher. So in a time of boom, you might not necessarily learn a lot of economic lessons because things are just going well. We're going through the thick of things right now in Nigeria, whether it's Naira, whether it's inflation, whether it's just generally the economy. You know, what lessons do you think Nigerians need to learn in this time that, you know, maybe should become a habit even if things start flourishing again? And do you see us actually learning it? Because when things get good, people sort of switch back. Do you think it's a lesson that you think might be held on?
So I see a lot of people navigating towards financial literacy. Yeah, unfortunately, there have been a lot of investment schemes that have failed as well. So people are more sensitized, you know, regarding their personal finance, which is good. But there are still a lot more people who need to embrace financial literacy, like interact with your figures, like I said. Major lesson. Number 2, personal finance is what it is, personal finance. How you run your finance will be different from how I run my finance. Our risk level, our age, our goals are different. So make it personal, seek knowledge, right? And I just want to also encourage Nigerians generally, this time will pass. You know, we had the 2008 recession, things have happened, and this time around, you know, it's peculiar in the sense that it's global. America is affected, Russia is affected, so it's global, it's nothing out of the world. We'll bounce out of it, we'll bounce back, we'll make, you know, good things out of our finances, but hey, don't forget the lessons, right? And that's what we teach our Smart Stewards. We have an annual summit coming up on the 23rd to the 25th. It's online. We just want to teach people how to maximize their career, business, finance, and personal development in a time like this.
How do we be a part of this?
So my social media page, Instagram, Shola_Adeshaki. The details are there, bio link, you see. Amazing speakers from all around the world. We just want to finish 2022 on a very good note.
Thank you very much. Go and register, be a part of this, and make sure you learn how to handle your finances better. Thanks for always being here, and thanks for coming back.
Thank you.
But like I always say, you can follow the conversation on social media. Please use the hashtag Rubbin Minds when you send us a message. I'll see you next time.
Don't just stand and tease